All right, welcome back to another episode of the Blue Crocus Experience. Excited to have Matt Fitch on here, a fellow junk hauler, and we're going to dive into some of the nitty gritties of SEO and some stuff that he's been doing for the last 10 years. But Matt, excited to have you on the show.
Thank you, Lewis. Appreciate you having me, man. Excited to be here.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, I'm in New Brunswick, Canada. He grew up in Maine. So we were sharing some stories before we started recording, and now he's in Austin. But Matt, just give people a little bit of an idea of your background overview, and then we'll dive into some of the details here.
Sure. So yeah, I've been hauling junk. I formed my LLC in March of 2013. So legally almost 10 years. I was doing a little bit of hauling before that, but that's when I started, and started on accident. I was a tree guy. I was training to be an arborist, and so for almost a year steady, I was getting busier and busier doing tree work. And a couple times here and there, someone would ask you to haul something off, and you don't think anything of it. And then one day, it's hard work doing tree work and landscaping and all this other crap. And I was like, man, if I can fill my schedule with trash, like that would be sweet. So one day I just went all in with it. I was like, I'm going to say no to everything else, and I'm going to do nothing but junk. And that was, in 2015, January of 2015 is when I went all in on everything. Just junk.
How scary was that? Like, were you a full-time, were you self-employed arborist, or were you working for a company?
No, I was getting my own work.
Yep.
So 10 years ago, Craigslist was pretty good. It's terrible now, but before it was free. And if you could present yourself as a professional and you could stand out above the riffraff, you could do okay there. I don't use it now. Maybe it's still okay. I bet there are some people there, but that's kind of where it started. And it just evolved into hauling junk. And I was making enough money doing the other stuff. But I got into trouble trying to do some fence work, because someone will say, hey, can you fix this? You fix that. And before you know it, I'm like a friggin' handyman doing everything and getting into things I don't know how to do. And the guys that I had working with me weren't 100% proficient on it. And that's my fault for not bringing the right people on and not training them. But I was, in my 20 something and just, trying to stay busy. And
Sure.
yeah, so I mean, I had tanked a couple bad deals, lost a bunch of money, and I was just like, I got to do something that I know, something that I can control by myself, and I know through and through 100%. And hauling junk is stupid simple. So it's like, if I can work 100 hours a week and just be able to do everything with integrity, and eventually I bet I can figure this out. And so that's how I got started. With a little bit of experience and a little bit of desperation,
That'll take you a long way.
Yeah. So I was motivated and started on Craigslist, and then did all sorts of. I paid for Yelp ads and Google ads for many years. I haven't done any Google ads this year, but it just evolved, into trying out different forms of advertising and growing. A social media presence. I didn't even have a Facebook page, and so I knew I needed to have a social media presence. Once I was like, okay, I need to get out there for iHaul if I'm going to get more jobs. And you had to create a personal profile to have a business page. I'm like, well, shoot, all right. So I did the personal page, and everybody found me. It was like my friends that I hadn't connected with for years, and so that was cool. But so I didn't know anything about it. I was just. And even now, I'm not an expert social media marketer. I get my message out there. I try to pay attention to some other channels and get some ideas. And
very cool. Very cool. So you said, I'd love to spend some time on the SEO side, because I think, I'm a strong believer in that. That's how we built our company. Was the whole almost first 9 months was strictly SEO, and then into the winter we ran a few ads, but. Talk a little bit about SEO, like when you were started, or some of the things. I mean, I'd like to just dive into like the most effective things here, because
Sure.
I'm always looking to share things with people. The more people we can help, the better. But pick a couple. Let's dive in.
So the very first way I was able to use SEO wasn't through myself. I built my own website on GoDaddy, just like super cheap, easy format, so that I could get my content and my message out there. And then I handed it off to a guy. I might have been Fiverr or somewhere, one of those places where you can find a freelancer, and he converted it to WordPress,
Yep.
and he did the SEO stuff. And that was for iHaulJunk.com.
Yep.
So I did the initial work on it. So it was cheaper than, starting from scratch. So that might be a tip for somebody who's can't afford 2,500 for a website. You can go in and get your message out there by doing it yourself, even for free, right? Like on Wix or something.
Yeah.
That gives you, somebody like yourself or somebody that does websites a good template to start with. It's less time for you, and you just have to do the page content and keyword research and all the
I'm
other
a huge advocate of starting. GoDaddy is good. I'd probably recommend Duda over GoDaddy. One that's come in probably since you started. They're like 4 or 5 years old. Super good for SEO. Yeah, Duda.co. And way better SEO than GoDaddy, and I think easier too.
I'll check it out for sure.
But yeah, GoDaddy, Wix, just get something out there is kind of the message that you're saying. Get something up there, even if it's not the best for SEO in the long run. Getting an online business card, you're building some domain power too, even by just having it up there, and then you can switch that domain over.
Yeah, their website replaces your business card for a lot of people, and so if somebody's looking for you, doing some research on who they want to figure out, the more places they can find you, that's social proof, and that's organic reach, and all the stuff you got to be doing. As far as like SEO work, I use a tool, Surfer SEO.
I love it. I love it. You dropped a few tips in the group too, and kind of we're helping people there, and I think that's great because SEO is not rocket surgery. I say that all the time. Oftentimes, when people are coming, either they just don't want to take the time to learn it, or it's too much time on top of all their other duties. Like we're not sitting over here with a magic pot of potions, right? And that's what I'm
you got potion that I don't have, because I think you do have more experience. So there's certain aspects of it where I wouldn't be afraid to like team with somebody like you, and I've got the same guy that did my WordPress conversion. I've handed a couple things off to him that I don't personally understand. And so, collaborations are pretty important. And
I do that as well. I don't know everything, and I'm the first to tell you that.
Yeah. So, I go hard on the things that have worked for me. And so when I don't think it's a big secret. When I started iHaulJunk, people helped me. And so I don't mind helping people. And it establishes yourself more with some additional credibility. Like we were saying, someone goes to look for you online and they find a bunch of different things about you talking about junk removal. Well, you're more likely to get the job probably than someone who doesn't have that. So, you put that time into trying to be in a few different places on social media and your website, and get it as good as you can and hand it off to someone that can make it perfect.
I love it. So get a website up, and I completely agree. Get a website up, whatever you're doing. If you can't afford someone to come in and do it, get a website up, and at least get the bare minimums, click to call, contact form, something that they know you do junk removal and they can connect with you. Get a Google business listing. What are some of the ways that you've done like outside of the website, to build the authority of your websites, that anybody can do?
Backlinks, you want to get yourself and your website on other higher ranking websites with more authority on Google. So in the process,
why do backlinks matter?
Well, don't they matter? Because Google wants to see that you're active and that you're in a lot of places and that you're relevant. And so if you have a bigger website with more authority, pointing your URL out from their website, that's some additional credibility, and one of 200 factors that go into it. It's one, but
yeah. No, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot there, but just for people who are listening, like It's so
Yeah.
so key. I like to say it's like a popularity contest. The more votes you have,
Yeah.
within reason, it's not quite that simple, but the more votes you have pointing back, the better. So where do you get backlinks from?
Well, when you just start out, I think, you get them on accident. You create a Yelp profile. They ask for your website, and now you got a Yelp backlink. And, so everyone gets that one eventually. And so just getting your name out there on every different listing registry. You can do that manually, or you can pay somebody to do it. But, you want to 411 local, like Yellow Pages, White Pages, anywhere that they're willing to let you create a profile and put your website, you can do that. And that's just another backlink and going to help you out with your ranking in search.
Matt, that's such a key thing, and that anybody can do that. You can go make 20 profiles in a night and then 20 the next night. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook.
Right.
Those are all things that Imgur, Reddit. You can make profiles on all of these for your business. Pinterest, that's killer. I love it. So there's some backlink tips from the man himself. What about blog posts? Do you do any of those for your on your site, or getting blogs written that link back to your site?
Yeah, I do have blogs on the website, and I use those for SEO purposes.
Yeah.
One of the tools in Surfer SEO is they'll give you some page structure and ideas based on your competitors of what content to put out there, because you've got so many certain pages on your website, and then you can also add that blog content, and it's another page, and you can optimize it.
Yeah. And is Surfer SEO free?
No, I pay for it. I think they might have a free version, but I started out with, I think, their $60 plan, and it gives you a certain amount of audits and
I love
page edits. They'll create pages for you based on keywords and competitor pages, and
that saves
AI
a ton of time. I guess what I'm leaning to is, like, for someone who's starting out, $60 a month. It's another recurring cost, which to some people they're like, but guys, that should be below your minimum hauling fee for one job, right? And that saves you having to hire someone, and it gives you this list of tips. Page structure is really important. Page structure, blog ideas, content ideas, all of this stuff that you're not going to think of yourself. It's literally just laid out there all for you. I've never used Surfer SEO, but there's lots of different tools like it, and taking advantage of those. When you eventually hire someone, it's going to be so much easier to take that foundation that you've built and then pour the gas on the fire than to just start from scratch with someone. So I love it.
Yeah, and you just get in there and you figure it out, and you might not be perfect on every single component, but it'll tell you what your backlinks are that you need to be going after, and it'll tell you, you've got too many H2 headings, and you're like, what the fuck is a H2 heading? So you Google H2, and you can piece it together and get started.
Yeah.
And then
here's a fun secret for you and for everyone who's listening is I still Google stuff daily. It's like there's as you get deeper into the web, no pun intended, the web of information that's out there around SEO, and as you're looking to have that edge, I am heavily leaning on my unlimited free Google searches that I get recharged every night at midnight. It's it's important.
Everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You ask your question to Google, and everybody's got a very similar response.
Yeah.
You might want to dive into that.
Yeah, no, exactly. So get Surfer SEO, if that's a tool. I think that's probably one of the cheaper options out there. And I've heard really good things about it. Obviously you've built your company on it. What about local backlinks? Like, do you go out and seek any backlinks from, say, the community kitchen or the hardware store, or places that you can kind of get some local stuff?
Not necessarily pursuing them for advertising or like swap backlinks or for anything else. When I first started out, I was doing work, like my first regular junk removal client was a landscaper. And so we do a couple small haul offs, 1 or 2 a week for his landscaping debris. And he he put a backlink for me and I put a backlink for him. That was it. I've got GoFundMe going for Safe in Austin. And so we donate money and we give them free services. I've been doing that since 2016.
Cool.
So there's a little bit of, I mean, they got my backlink, you know, on some of their pages as a sponsor.
I love that.
But no, I'm not doing anything locally to get backlinks.
Yeah, just kind of trying to give people ideas. I mean, there's, you know, if there's people you work with that have websites, get them to link back to you, and vice versa. We sponsored the marathon here locally. You know, the site's been around for 20 years, so it's a great backlink. We just left our trailer there on the day of the marathon, so really no cost to us except for a little bit of opportunity cost. But who wants to be working on the weekend anyway? Actually, I was running the race, so and then we got a backlink on the site, and so it's a great local backlink. So just little ideas like that can be big. They take a little bit of legwork usually, but it's, you know, better than getting you know, random backlinks from all over the internet that may have sketchy backgrounds.
Well, it's in addition to a backlink, it's something you can promote. You know, it's something that you're doing with a community, and if you can also do that and get a backlink, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I love it. Any other little tips here?
Yeah, when I was researching backlinks, one of the things that came up was pursuing journalists, you know, to try to pitch your story to them and to get you featured in an article or, you know, something like that. And so I found that website, help a reporter out, like haro.com or something.
Yeah.
And so you register as a source, and they send you 3 emails a day of just hundreds of different stories that different journalists are looking for. And if you look long enough, you'll find something in your niche, and you pitch them your story, and you know, they're going to do 1 article a month, and they're going to feature 10 different people. And sometimes you'll get like just your own feature article, but one, you are getting a backlink. So if they choose to pick up your story and feature you in an article, you're going to get a real solid backlink there, and they'll let you link whatever page you want to link, you know, and so you're getting a good backlink, but it's awesome exposure. And it's online credibility, you know, something that might separate you from one of the other 900 haulers in your city. You know, if when the client's searching for you online and they see, you know, all the other things that everyone else has, but there's also some journalist from Harvard that's talking to you about how you hire, you know, like that's cool. It's a cool story, and you can promote it. And so that's another way to get a backlink. And
so I think that's really, we're kind of breezing through this like, oh yeah, it's normal, but this is a nugget here, and if someone grabs onto this could change your business. Like this thing alone, it's great PR, it's great backlinks, it's really great everything. So I've done it for myself as a brand, you know, and gone through it. I don't know if I've gotten anything published because I haven't done it super consistently, but I'm aware of the method, and you know, I've actually got rolling that out next month, kind of as a thing. But for a junk removal business, how does that apply? Because it makes sense to me as a business owner, but I'd love to dive into that. Like, what sort of articles are you referring to? You mentioned the hiring one. That's a great one.
Yeah, Ken Babcock, he graduated Harvard Business School, and he's now a journalist, and he does different articles. And so he was listed on one of the email notifications that I was looking through, and is just a story that he was doing on how to hire in the modern era, you know, with right in the middle of the Great Resignation. You know, everyone's leaving, and how do you operate remotely, and you know, how do you deal with the changing space, you know, of being an employer. And so I gave him my pitch, and he picked it up, and so I've got a feature article, and I promoted on the website, and it's a cool story, you know, and it's an awesome backlink. It's additional credibility, you know. That's a level of professionalism that most people don't have, and it's a really good way to promote your brand and separate yourself.
How many pitches did you do before they got accepted? Because you definitely don't get everyone accepted. So you're going through, like, are you going through daily? I'm just trying to give people the nitty gritty
Sure.
mechanics of how this works.
I went hard on it for a few months.
Yep.
Started going after them about 6 months ago, and I probably pitched 20 and got 3 articles.
Yep, that sounds about right from what what I've heard. So yeah, it's going to take some light work. You're going to take some, I'm setting up a schedule to go in daily, and check those emails, and then get the pitches written and send it through. So be consistent at it, guys, and girls who are listening, and there's some gold that can come out of it. So
yeah, there's a whole industry around that, and you can find people that'll talk to you about how to create the perfect pitch to a journalist, and they'll talk about certain components of your pitch that you can have as boilerplate template verbiage, that first 100 to 200 words where it's Matt Fitch, CEO, founder and CEO at iHaulJunk. You have the same intro, and you have the same conclusion, with your backlink and then it's just that middle part where they'll guide you too. Once you get your pitch accepted, they're going to send you the questions, and then you have the time to respond to them, by a certain date. So they've structured it for you, and so you've got a little time to respond and to that the middle part of it, and that's where you're getting your story in.
I love it. That's a big nugget. Awesome. Any other little tips for people?
Google Search Console. I mean, that's a good one. You got to figure that out if you're trying to promote yourself for SEO. Otherwise, because that's how you're indexing your pages. If you're doing the SEO yourself, every time you make a few edits, you want to go in there and request new indexing, or else it could be 6 weeks or something before Google goes in and index your page. So you got to figure out how to use Google Search Console, and there's a whole bunch of other tools in Google Search Console that I haven't figured out yet. So I'm still learning it.
Yeah.
So that's a powerful tool that you want to figure out.
I love it. Yeah, and you can go in too and just have Search Console set up and see what people are searching when they're landing on your site. See what search terms you're getting, and it gives you some interesting long form keyword ideas too that you can write an article about. Best place to recycle furniture, or whatever the case may be. You can write an article on that and say, cool, this is the different places you can drop it off in your city. Here's our number if you need someone to help you haul it to that place, right? And so there's ways to bring that back around. So that's awesome. So you've built this, you've built a thriving organic funnel of leads coming into your business. Talk a little bit about what you're doing now with franchising and the opportunities that you have there, so that anybody listening who is like, man, I'm starting out, this sounds amazing, Matt and Lewis seem to know what they're doing, but I don't have a clue what I'm going to do. So help people understand how they might be able to come to you and make that happen.
So it's a franchise alternative. It's not actually a franchise. With franchise, you got to pay a bunch of money up front and heavy contracts and huge startup costs. I'm basically just trying to partner with people in new markets. So I've done everything just like everybody else, with running my business locally and marketing it locally. And but in addition to that, now I optimize pages in other cities, and I do everything the same. And I found the best haulers by getting into these junk removal groups. So that's kind of why I got in here. And so I'm finding really good haulers that have the same ethics, and I'm able to see their profiles and have a lot more of a filter to get them
engaged in the groups and all that.
Yeah, and you can tell who's legit and who cares about their service. So I've been able to find my haulers in other cities in the Facebook groups, and I'll just optimize a city and optimize a page in another city, and it's organic. I'm not going to dump a bunch of money into it, but the way that I'm partnering with the franchise alternative is, instead of 60% commission to the hauler, if they want to pony up and do some Google ads, I'm going to give them 80%.
Yeah.
And I'll manage the Google ads, and I'll optimize the new page for iHaulJunk / Seattle.
Yeah.
And we'll do all the same SEO work that I've done on the other pages. And eventually, over a few months, we're going to start getting tons of organic results. After a year, it starts to build up. It's not going to be within a month, but the haulers are able to get the jobs right away with Google ads. So,
and you're also booking, like, you're basically, if someone's starting out, there's a lot of hats to wear, right? And so you're also booking the appointments, running all their marketing, doing that. All they've got to do is log into your CRM and just take the job. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So instead of trying to build a brand from scratch with no name, we've got iHaulJunk that's been around for almost 10 years, and we've got tons of reviews everywhere and a big presence. And I've got a system that I'm just recreating in another city that already works. And so we provide the platform so they can operate out of we're optimizing a local website. They don't own the website. It's a partnership, and and so we're promoting that website for them, and they get all those jobs exclusively. And the app is going to send out all the invoicing and estimates, and that's where the communication happens with the customer and online payments. And so they're able to track all of their finances in the app and sales and whatnot. So they're not paying for any of the credit card processing fees. All of the leads that come in, we're going to handle them, and we're going to convert them from leads to prospects to jobs on the schedule. And they don't have to deal with any of the time that it goes in to deal with, however many leads you go through, whether 5 or 10 leads before you convert a job.
Yeah.
We do that. So
do you do all the follow-up and everything? You're doing all the follow-up until they connect. I love it. Yeah. We've
got email campaigns, and we're getting people signed up, for the $25 off by signing up for the email list. And I got the MailChimp going on that, and we follow up with them all. And so the haulers are able to just log into the app, and they get a notice, and here's a new job, go get it. And so as long as they're willing to understand what they're getting, that paying 20% for that is really good value. For someone that doesn't want to take the time to build a brand, it's not going to be a great fit for someone who's been in business for 8 years that just wants to maybe get a little more exposure, because I'm charging what you're charging. So, you're not going to make any money if you're only getting 80% and you're not willing to take into consideration what you're getting as far as, handling the customer service and the marketing. And so
I think it's a great plan. I mean, I'm a fan of the model. I like the exclusivity part of it. It's basically Home Advisor. I probably don't want to be compared to Home Advisor, but it's essentially what they're doing, but only to one person. Right. To really boil it down, and I know several people in different industries doing that. And I think it's a great way for you to take all the work up front. You take some risk, and then they reap the benefits and don't have to do the ongoing marketing and stuff. I think it's brilliant.
And I love working with the new haulers. Before I ever did this franchise alternative to where they're ponying up some of the ads to, it's just speeding up the process. Before I've worked with hundreds of subcontractors, some of them just one job, but I love consulting with them and kind of watching them grow. And so, I'm also their consultant. I've got guys that text me all the time and how the hell do I do this? How do I tear down a shed? Or, they send me a photo of a hot tub and they've never done it, and so I'm walking them through it, and I'm showing them how to do it and helping them with the communication on dealing with the customers. And so, there's a lot of value there. And so if they can understand that value and take that into consideration, then the commission split, it works great. So
I think a lot of people undervalue what a well-run back office can do. what the follow-up can do, what this appointment setting can do. They're taking a lot of time and stress off. You're taking a lot of time and stress off their plate. So I think that's a good model that you got going. So Matt, appreciate having you on the show. This is fun, and I appreciated the experience and really tangible tips that people can take. Because it's that's what this is about, is bringing value to people. So any last words for someone who's getting into junk that you kind of want to wrap up with?
I think with anything, you just got to get out there and figure it out, and don't try to make enemies. They're not competitors. There's a bunch of people out there that are going to be your colleague, and so find a few guys that want to help you out. And when you get a couple steps ahead of where you are now, help the guy below you and build a network of people around you. And instead of just trying to fight everything, just get out there and ignore the haters and work with the people that want to work with you. Get out there and do it.
I love it. Cool. And where can people find you?
Well, my website's iHaulJunk.com. So you do anything on that website, it's coming to me.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. Good stuff. Well, guys, appreciate you tuning in, and Matt, appreciate you coming on and bringing some good tips, and excited to watch you grow and help more people.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, Lewis. It was a good time.
Awesome. All right. Well, till next time, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll be back for more.
Likewise. Have a good weekend, guys.